I arrived at the wedding of my daughter, to whom I had devoted my entire life. 3 hours of rainy road, a truck that smelled of sweat and metal. And she coldly said, "Dad, you're not invited. Go away." I left silently, my heart broken by betrayal. But 2 hours later, her perfect wedding turned into a nightmare. Revenge? No, it's justice. Before continuing, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments where you are listening from. I arrived at the venue 45 minutes early. Force of habit. My daughter Jessica's wedding was supposed to start at 2, and I'd driven 3 hours through rain that hammered the windshield like accusations. The GPS led me to the Riverside Estate, one of those places with columns and circular driveways where valets take your keys and judge your vehicle. I drove my 10-year-old pickup past the row of Mercedes and BMWs, feeling the weight of every mile on that truck, every payment I'd made on time while other things waited. The reception hall glowed through the mist, white roses everywhere, string lights wrapped around trees that probably cost more to decorate than my first car. I pulled the gift from the passenger seat, a small wooden box I'd spent 2 months building in my garage, walnut, with brass hinges I'd installed by hand. Inside was the deed to a small property upstate, 5 acres with a cabin. It wasn't much, but it was paid off. I'd signed it over to her that morning. I walked toward the entrance, gift box under my arm, rehearsing what I'd say when I saw her. Congratulations seemed too small. "I'm proud of you" felt earned but might make me cry. I settled on a hug first, words later. That's when I heard her voice. "Dad?" I turned. Jessica stood near the side entrance in her wedding dress. 200 tiny buttons down the back, the kind that take an hour to fasten. She looked beautiful. She looked horrified. "Sweetheart?" I smiled. Took a step forward. "What are you doing here?" The question landed wrong. Not surprise, not delight. Confusion mixed with something colder. "It's your wedding day." I held up the box. "I wouldn't miss it." Her face tightened. She glanced back toward the building where I could see shapes moving behind frosted glass. Her bridesmaids, probably. Her future mother-in-law, definitely. "Dad, you're not invited." 4 words, delivered quietly, but they hit like a car door slamming on my hand. "What do you mean I'm not invited? I'm your father." "I mean, you're not on the guest list." Her voice dropped lower. "Marcus and I decided to keep it small, intimate. Just people who are really part of our lives now." Now. That word carried weight. "Jessica, I've been part of your life for 28 years. I know. But," she looked over her shoulder again, "this isn't the place to talk about this." "Then when is?" My voice stayed level. Decades of customer service training, biting my tongue during night shifts, swallowing pride at parent-teacher conferences where other dads wore suits and I wore my work uniform. "I don't know. After the honeymoon, maybe? We can get coffee, or something. Or something." Like I was an acquaintance she vaguely remembered from high school. "Jessica." I held the box tighter. "I drove 3 hours. I brought you a gift. I'm your father, and I'm asking you to respect my wishes." Her tone shifted. Firmer now. Practiced. "This is my wedding day. I don't want drama." "Drama? I just want to see my daughter get married. Please." She took a step backward. "Just go. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be." Harder than it needs to be. As if my presence was the difficulty. As if I was a problem to be managed. I stood there in the mist, holding a box that suddenly felt heavier. Behind her, I could see guests arriving. Women in elegant dresses, men in tailored suits, laughter drifting out from the open doors. The kind of laughter that comes easy when you've never had to choose between electricity and groceries. "Okay," I said. She blinked. Okay, I'll go. Relief washed over her face so quickly it made my chest ache. Thank you. I knew you'd understand. I didn't understand, but I wasn't going to beg. I walked back to my truck, placed the gift box on the passenger seat, and sat behind the wheel for a long moment. Rain started again, soft at first, then harder. Through the windshield, I watched more guests arrive, saw Jessica greet them with hugs and that radiant smile I used to think was reserved for people she loved. I started the engine, made it to the end of the driveway before I pulled over. My hands were shaking. I'd raised her alone since she was 6. Her mother left on a Tuesday morning with a suitcase and a man whose last name I never learned. No note, no custody battle, just gone. Jessica cried for 3 months straight. Every night I'd sit on the edge of her bed, reading the same stories until she fell asleep. Green eggs and ham, Where the Wild Things Are, The Giving Tree. That last one always got me. A tree that gave everything until there was nothing left but a stump. I worked double shifts at the plant, came home smelling like metal and sweat. Jessica would be waiting with homework spread across the kitchen table. I'd help her with math, even though I barely passed it myself. Made her dinner, mac and cheese most nights. Sometimes chicken if I'd gotten overtime. She never complained. Said I made the best mac and cheese in the world. I believed her. When she was 12, she wanted to take piano lessons. The instructor cost $75 an hour. I picked up weekend shifts at the hardware store, stocked shelves, loaded trucks. My back started hurting around then, but I didn't mention it. She played at her first recital in a blue dress I'd saved 3 months to buy. Beethoven's Für Elise. She made 2 mistakes, but when she finished, I stood up and clapped until my hands stung. High school brought new expenses. Yearbooks, prom dresses, SAT prep courses. I cashed in my tiny retirement fund, told her it was fine, told her education mattered more than my future. She got into State University with a partial scholarship. I covered the rest. $12,000 a year. I sold my father's coin collection, took a third job doing night security at an office building, slept 4 hours a night for 4 years. She graduated summa cum laude. I was so proud I cried in the parking lot before the ceremony because I didn't want to embarrass her. After college, she moved to the city, got a job at a marketing firm. Started dating Marcus within 6 months. He came from money, real money, the kind that doesn't count receipts or check account balances before ordering appetizers. His parents owned a chain of car dealerships. His mother wore pearls to brunch. The first time Jessica brought him home, Marcus shook my hand with the grip of someone who'd never done manual labor. Looked around my small house with polite interest, asked what I did for a living. When I told him I was a floor supervisor at the plant, he nodded slowly, said that must be rewarding. His tone suggested it was anything but. Jessica started changing after that. Small things at first. She stopped calling as often. When she did, conversations felt shorter, surface level. She'd mentioned dinners at restaurants I couldn't pronounce, vacations to places I'd never see. Her voice took on a different quality, smoother, more refined. She started correcting my grammar. I figured it was normal. Kids grow up, find their own lives. I was happy for her. When she got engaged, I offered to help with the progress wedding. Asked if she needed money. She laughed. Not meanly, but like I'd made a joke. Said Marcus's parents were handling everything. I felt relieved and stung at the same time. The invitation never came. I called her 2 months before the wedding. Asked about it casually. She said it was still being finalized. Details were complicated. I said I understood. Asked if she needed me to rent a tux. She said she'd let me know. She never did. I called again 3 weeks ago, left a voicemail, then another. She texted back, short messages. busy with wedding planning, would call soon. She didn't. I found out the date from her Facebook page. Saturday, October 14th, 2 o'clock, Riverside Estate. She'd posted pictures of the venue, the dress, her bridesmaids. 300 people had liked it. I wasn't tagged, so I came anyway, and she told me to leave. I sat in my truck at the end of that long driveway, rain drumming on the roof, and did the math. 22 years of raising her, alone. 264 months, roughly 8,000 days, countless meals, endless nights, every birthday, every Christmas, every scraped knee and broken heart and bad dream. And I wasn't invited to her wedding. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica. Thank you for understanding. I'll call you after the honeymoon. Love you. Love you. 2 words she probably typed without thinking. Muscle memory. The same way I used to say them every night before she went to sleep. I picked up the gift box from the passenger seat, opened it. The deed sat inside, crisp and official. 5 acres. A cabin with a wood stove and a porch that overlooked a stream. I'd bought it 3 years ago, with money I'd saved from overtime. Planned to retire there someday. Fish, read, watch the seasons change. I'd signed it over to her because I thought she'd want a place to escape to, a piece of her history. Something from me that mattered. Now it just felt like another thing she didn't need. I closed the box, put it back on the seat, started driving. Not home, not yet. I couldn't face that empty house with its photos of a little girl who didn't exist anymore. So I drove to Miller's Diner on Route 9, sat in a corner booth, ordered coffee and pie I didn't want. The waitress recognized me. Emma. She'd worked there since Jessica was in middle school. Used to give my daughter extra whipped cream on her hot chocolate. Big day today, right? Emma smiled. Jessica's wedding? I nodded. Must be so proud. She turned out beautiful. You did good, raising her alone. Thanks, Emma. How was the ceremony? I took a sip of coffee. It was fine. She could tell I was lying but didn't push. Just topped off my cup and left me alone. I sat there for 2 hours, watched the rain, thought about the past 22 years, tried to pinpoint where I'd lost her. Was it when I couldn't afford the fancy summer camps her friends went to? Was it the used car I bought her instead of a new one? Was it every time I showed up to her school in work boots instead of loafers? Was it my accent, my manners, my inability to discuss wine or art or whatever the hell people like Marcus's parents discussed? Or was it simpler than that? Had I simply loved her too much? Given her everything until there was nothing left of me that seemed valuable? My phone buzzed again. Another text. But not from Jessica. From Michael Rodriguez. He worked in accounting at the plant. We'd been friends for 15 years. He sent a photo. A screenshot from someone's Instagram story. Jessica's wedding. The ceremony. Her walking down the aisle. Marcus waiting at the altar. The caption read, "Most beautiful bride ever." The man walking her down the aisle wasn't me. It was Marcus's father, Richard Caldwell. In an expensive suit, beaming with pride, giving away a daughter who wasn't his. I stared at that photo until my eyes burned. Then I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who just made a decision. I took out my phone and made one call. Stevens Legal Group. How may I direct your call? Robert Stevens. Please, tell him David Morrison is calling about a contract review. Robert and I had served in the National Guard together 20 years ago. He'd gone to law school on the GI Bill. Owed me a favor from when I'd loaned him money during his divorce. He always said he'd pay it back however I needed. David. His voice came through warm. Been a while. What's going on? I need your help reviewing some documents. financial records, property deeds, loan agreements. What kind of situation are we talking about? I looked at the photo on my phone again. Marcus's father with his arm around my daughter. The kind where I've been very generous for a very long time, I said. And I'd like an accounting of exactly how generous. When do you want to start? I checked my watch. 3:30. The reception would be starting now. First dance, toasts, cake cutting. All the moments I'd imagined being part of. Right now, I said, I'll be at your office in 20 minutes. I left $40 on the table for a $12 meal. Emma had been kind. Kindness was rare enough to overpay for. The rain had stopped by the time I reached Robert's office. He met me in the conference room with a legal pad and reading glasses. Talk to me, he said. So I did. I told him everything. 22 years of single fatherhood. Every expense. Every sacrifice. The retirement fund I'd cashed out. The second and third jobs. The coin collection. My father's tools I'd sold. The property I'd just signed over. Robert took notes, asked questions, pulled up my banking records on his laptop when I gave him access. 2 hours later, he sat back and whistled. David, you've spent $937,000 raising your daughter. The number hit me like cold water. That includes college tuition, living expenses, medical costs, her first car, insurance, wedding contributions you've made over the years that were never used, and the current market value of the property you just deeded to her. That's not counting your time, your labor, the promotions you didn't take because they required relocation, the relationships you didn't pursue because you were focused on her. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked for an accounting. He leaned forward. And because you need to understand something. That property deed you signed, it's not filed yet. It requires her signature within 30 days to be valid. If she doesn't sign, it reverts to you. So you have leverage. His expression was serious now. I'm not saying you should use it, but I am saying you have options. This isn't just about money. It's about respect, boundaries. You've given everything. You're allowed to decide when to stop giving. I thought about that photo, Richard Caldwell's proud smile, my daughter's hand on his arm. What would you do? I asked. Robert was quiet for a moment. I'd stop funding her life and see who she calls when the bills come due. Not out of revenge, out of necessity. You've been her bank, her safety net, her solution to every problem. She doesn't value it because she's never had to live without it. She told me I wasn't invited to her wedding. I know. You mentioned that 4 times in the last 2 hours. He closed his laptop. The question isn't what she's done. The question is what you're going to do about it. I drove home that night thinking about trees, the giving tree, how it gave its apples, its branches, its trunk, everything until only a stump remained. And the boy, grown old, came back just to sit. The tree was happy, but what if the tree wasn't happy? What if the tree was just too tired to protest? I spent Sunday in my garage, going through boxes, 22 years of receipts, birthday cards I'd saved, report cards, photos, every piece of evidence that I'd been present. That I'd mattered. I found her kindergarten art project, a handprint in clay. I love you, Daddy, scratched in a child's handwriting. I found the program from her high school graduation. My name listed under special thanks. I found the letter she'd written me when she was 14. I'd been working 70-hour weeks, and she felt neglected. I miss you, she wrote. But I understand why you work so hard. You're the best dad in the world. I organized everything chronologically, scanned the important documents, created a file on my computer labeled Jessica, Complete record. Then I called my bank. First National. This is Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. This is David Morrison. Account number 7794512. I need to put a hold on all automatic transfers linked to my account. All of them? All of them. May I ask why? Personal reasons. Effective immediately. There was typing. A pause. Mr. Morrison. I'm showing monthly transfers to 6 different accounts. Jessica Morrison. River City Apartments. Nationwide Auto Insurance. Capital One credit card ending in 3,847. 2 different savings accounts. Are you certain you want to stop all of these? Jessica's apartment? Her car insurance? Her credit card that I paid off monthly? Her savings accounts I'd been contributing to since she was born. Emergency fund and retirement. I'm certain these will stop with the next billing cycle. Is there anything else? Yes. I'd like to remove Jessica Morrison as an authorized user on my accounts. More typing. A longer pause. Done. You should receive confirmation by email within 24 hours. Thank you, Cheryl. I hung up. Felt nothing. That was the strange part. No anger, no satisfaction. Just a quiet sense of something settling into place. Monday morning, I called the insurance company, removed her from my policy, called the phone company, took her off my family plan, called my accountant, amended my will to remove her as beneficiary. By Monday afternoon, I'd systematically untangled 22 years of financial support. It felt like taking off a heavy coat I'd worn so long I forgot I was wearing it. Tuesday, I went back to Robert's office. I need you to draft a letter, I said. To Jessica? No. To Richard Caldwell. Robert raised an eyebrow. Marcus's father? The man who walked my daughter down the aisle. I pulled out my phone, showed him the photo. I want to thank him. David, I'm serious. I want to thank him for taking over the responsibilities I've handled for 2 decades. I want to make sure he knows exactly what those responsibilities entail. Robert's expression shifted. Understanding. Maybe a little admiration. You want me to itemize everything. Everything. And I want you to send copies to Marcus as well. And Jessica. I want them to understand that when you replace someone, you inherit their obligations. This could get messy. It's already messy. I'm just making it clear. He drafted the letter Wednesday, 3 pages. Professional, courteous, devastating. It began, Dear Mr. Caldwell, I wanted to personally thank you for stepping into the role of father figure at my daughter Jessica's recent wedding. As you've assumed this position publicly, I thought it appropriate to provide you with a comprehensive overview of the financial and personal responsibilities you've inherited. Then it listed everything, every category of support, every monthly expense, every emergency fund contribution. It concluded with, I trust you'll provide Jessica with the same level of care and support moving forward. As of October 15th, I have discontinued all financial assistance. She's in excellent hands now. Copies were sent certified mail. They'd arrive Friday. I spent the week working normal hours, just my regular 40. No overtime, no weekend shifts. I came home while it was still light out, cooked actual meals, sat on my porch, read books I'd been meaning to read for years. It was the most peaceful week I'd had in 2 decades. Friday afternoon, my phone started ringing. First call, Jessica. I let it go to voicemail. Second call, Jessica. Voicemail again. Third call, Marcus. Voicemail. Fourth call, Jessica. I answered. Dad, what the hell is this letter? Which part confused you? The part where you sent a detailed financial breakdown to my in-laws? The part where you cut me off from everything? The part where you made me look like a spoiled brat? I didn't make you look like anything. I just clarified the situation. You embarrassed me. No, Jessica, you embarrassed me at your wedding, in front of everyone. I drove 3 hours to watch you get married, and you told me I wasn't invited. Then you had another man walk you down the aisle. Silence. I had to see it on Instagram, I continued. Do you understand that? I had to find out from someone's social media that I'd been replaced. Dad, it wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. More silence. Marcus's parents were paying for everything, she finally said. His dad wanted to be part of the ceremony. It would have been rude. And me? Your actual father? That wasn't rude? I thought you'd understand. Understand what? That you're ashamed of me? That I don't fit into your new life? That's not fair. None of this is fair, Jessica. But it's honest. For the first time in a long time, it's honest. She was crying now. So, you're just cutting me off? Completely? I'm releasing you. There's a difference. What does that even mean? It means you're an adult. You have a husband. You have in-laws who can afford to pay for waterfront weddings. You don't need me anymore. You made that clear. I do need you. You're my father. Then act like it. Treat me like it. Respect me like it. I do respect you. No, Jessica, you don't. You respect my wallet. You respect my willingness to fix your problems and stay quiet. But you don't respect me. That's not true. Then prove it. When's the last time you asked about my life? My health? My job? When's the last time you said thank you for anything? She couldn't answer. I loved you more than anything in this world, I said quietly. I gave you everything I had. And you told me I wasn't. Invited to the most important day of your life. So now, I'm uninviting myself from yours. Effective immediately. Dad, please. I'm not angry, Jessica. I'm just done. I hung up. She called back 6 more times that night. I didn't answer. She left voicemails that progressed from anger to bargaining to tears. Each one confirmed what I already knew. She didn't miss me. She missed my support. Saturday morning, Marcus called. Mr. Morrison? It's Marcus. I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. Everything in that letter is accurate. I realize you're upset about the wedding. I'm not upset. I'm liberated. Sir, with all due respect, Jessica is your daughter. You can't just abandon her because of one mistake. One mistake? Marcus, she's been pulling away for 2 years. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. She chose you and your family. That's fine. But choices have consequences. We'd like to meet. Talk this through. Maybe we could all have dinner? Where? Excuse me? Where would we have dinner? One of those restaurants where appetizers cost $40? Where I need to Google the menu beforehand? Where your parents can whisper about my table manners? Mr. Morrison, I'm not interested in performing for your family, Marcus. I did that for 22 years for Jessica. Pretended I wasn't exhausted. Pretended I didn't notice when she was embarrassed by me. Pretended everything was fine. I'm done pretending. So that's it? You're just walking away? No. Jessica walked away at her wedding. I'm just acknowledging it. I hung up. By Sunday, the voicemail stopped. Monday brought something different. An email from Richard Caldwell's attorney. Subject, refinancial claims. Jessica Morrison. The email was polite, but firm. Mr. Caldwell appreciated the information, but wanted to clarify that he had no legal obligation to assume any of my financial commitments. Furthermore, any implication that he'd replaced Me as Jessica's father was inappropriate. He'd simply participated in a wedding ceremony at his son's request. I forwarded it to Robert with a note. Interesting how quickly he backed away from the responsibilities. Robert called within the hour, laughing. "David, you brilliant bastard. You called his bluff." "I didn't bluff. I just told the truth." "Yeah. But now Marcus and Jessica realize his parents aren't going to step up. Which means they're on their own. How long do you think it takes before reality hits?" "Not long. She's been living beyond her means since college." "I've been covering the difference." "You know she's going to come back." "I know. What are you going to do?" "Listen. That's all. Just listen." It took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of silence. No calls, no texts, no voicemails. I found out later what happened during that time. Jessica's credit card was declined at brunch with Marcus's mother. The card I'd been paying off. She called the company. They explained the account had been closed. She tried her backup card. Same result. Her car insurance lapsed. She got a warning from her leasing office about next month's rent. The automatic transfer had been stopped. She'd have to pay it herself. For the first time in her adult life, Jessica had to budget. She picked up extra shifts at work, started checking prices at the grocery store, stopped going to her usual restaurants. Marcus helped, but he was entry-level at his father's dealership. They'd been living off his parents' generosity and my support. Without either, reality was expensive. Week 3, she showed up at my house. I was in the garage, building a bookshelf. I heard her car pull up, heard her knock on the front door, heard her walk around back when I didn't answer. "Dad?" I kept sanding. Didn't look up. "Dad, I know you're mad at me." "I'm not mad." "Then why won't you look at me?" I set down the sandpaper, looked up. She'd been crying. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup. Wearing jeans and a sweatshirt I'd bought her years ago. She looked like my daughter again. "I'm sorry," she said. "For what?" "For the wedding. For everything. For making you feel like you didn't matter." "Do you know why it hurt?" She shook her head. "Because you did matter to me," I said. "More than anything. I built my entire life around making sure you were okay. And when it was time for you to include me in yours, you couldn't find room. I was stupid. I was trying to fit in with Marcus's family. They're so polished and perfect, and I wanted them to think I was too. I thought if I kept you separate, you thought if they didn't see where you came from, they wouldn't judge you." She nodded, tears streaming now. "But Jessica, where you came from is me. I'm not an embarrassment to be hidden. I'm your father. I know. I know that now. Do you? Because 3 weeks ago, you were angry that I stopped paying your bills. You weren't sorry. You were inconvenienced. That's not true. Then why are you here now? What changed?" She wiped her face. "Everything's falling apart. Marcus and I are fighting about money. His parents are barely speaking to us because of your letter. My credit is ruined. I can't afford my apartment. So, you need money." "No," she said it firmly. "I mean, yes, we're struggling. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I miss you. Because I realized what I gave up. Because my husband asked me last night who walked me down the aisle at my wedding, and I couldn't remember his name. I remembered yours. That got me. Marcus's father is Richard," I said quietly. "I know. But when Marcus asked, all I could think about was you. How you should have been there. How wrong it felt without you. I went back to sanding. Let the silence sit between us. I found something," she said, "in my storage unit. The box you brought to the wedding." Marcus asked what it was. I realized I never opened it. I stopped sanding. "There's a deed inside. To property upstate. You signed. Put it over to me. That deed's not valid. You never countersigned. I know. I called the county office. They said I have 2 more weeks. She pulled an envelope from her purse. The deed. I'm not signing it. Why not? Because you were going to retire there. You told me once, years ago, you wanted a place by the water, somewhere quiet. She set the deed on my workbench. I can't take your dream because I was too selfish to appreciate everything else you gave me. I looked at the document, my signature, dated October 13th, the day before her wedding. I want you to have it, I said. I don't deserve it. Probably not, but that's never been the point. She laughed. It was small and broken. So what now? Now you figure out your life. You and Marcus. Without my money, without his parents' money, just you two. And if we fail, then you fail, and you learn, and you try again. Will you be there? Where? For Thanksgiving, Christmas, Sunday dinners. Will you be there if I invite you? Really invite you? I picked up the sandpaper again. Depends. On what? On whether you want me there because you need me or because you love me. She thought about that. Both. That's honest. I learned it from you. I smiled. Couldn't help it. You should go home to your husband. Figure out your budget. Make a plan. Will you answer if I call? Eventually. She nodded, started to leave. Stopped. Dad, that letter you sent to Richard? Marcus said it was the most passive-aggressive thing he'd ever read. It wasn't passive-aggressive. It was just aggressive. There's a difference. She almost smiled. I deserved it. Yeah, you did. She left. I went back to building my bookshelf, but something had shifted. Not forgiveness exactly. Not yet, but maybe the beginning of it. 2 days later, an envelope arrived. Hand-delivered. Inside was a check for $3,000 from Jessica and Marcus. A note attached. First month's rent. We're moving to a smaller apartment. Starting over. This doesn't cover what we owe you, but it's a start. Thank you for everything, especially the honesty. J. $3,000. A fraction of what I'd spent over the years. But it represented something bigger. Responsibility. Accountability. The recognition that love isn't just about receiving. I didn't cash it right away. Kept it on my fridge for a week. Looked at it every morning with my coffee. Then I deposited it. Not because I needed the money, because Jessica needed to know I'd accepted it. Week 5, she called. Hey, Dad. Hey, we're hosting Thanksgiving. Marcus and me. Our new apartment. It's small, but we'd like you to come. Just me? Just you. Marcus's parents are going to his brother's this year. It'll be quiet. What time? 3 o'clock. I'm making turkey. Trying to, anyway. I don't really know how. You brine it first. Overnight. I'll text you the recipe. Okay? A. Pause. Dad? Yeah? I'm really glad you answered. Me too, sweetheart. Thanksgiving was awkward. Their apartment was 600 square feet. The turkey was dry. The mashed potatoes were lumpy. Marcus looked exhausted. Jessica kept apologizing for everything. It was perfect. We ate on a card table because they didn't have a dining set yet. Drank wine from mason jars because they'd sold their glassware. Talked about their jobs, their budget, their plans. Marcus asked about my work. Actually listened to the answer. Asked follow-up questions. He'd never done that before. Jessica showed me the meal plan she'd created, the grocery list she actually stuck to, the savings account they'd opened. $500 so far. I was proud of them. After dinner, Jessica walked me to my truck. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. I mean it, Dad. Thank you for not giving up on me. I didn't give up. I just stopped enabling. What's the difference? Giving up means walking away forever. Enabling means staying and watching you fail. I did neither. I set a boundary and waited to see what you'd do with it. And I'm impressed. You're figuring it out. She hugged me. Really hugged me. The kind of hug that doesn't expect anything in return. I love you, Dad. I love you too. Christmas came. Jessica and Marcus gave me a photo album, pictures from her childhood, the two of us at her graduation, her first day of kindergarten, birthday parties, Halloween costumes, every memory I thought she'd forgotten. Inside the front cover, she'd written, "To the man who gave me everything, including the space to realize it." Jessica, I cried reading it. New Year's Eve, I was invited to their place again. Small party, just us and two other couples from their building. Marcus made a toast to new beginnings, to family, to the people who love us enough to let us figure it out. He looked at me when he said it. February, Jessica called with news. She'd been promoted. $10,000 raise. She was crying with happiness. I got it on my own, Dad. No connections, no favors. Just my work. I'm proud of you. I know. That's why it feels so good. March, they invited me to their apartment again. Dinner. Just the three of us. Jessica made pot roast. It was actually good. After we ate, Marcus cleared his throat. "Mr. Morrison, I owe you an apology." "For what?" "For not seeing what Jessica had. I grew up with everything handed to me. I thought that was normal. I didn't understand what you'd sacrificed, what you'd built. I was dismissive of you because I didn't understand the value of what you represented. And now I'm trying to be half the man you are. You're doing fine. I'm trying. We both are." He looked at Jessica. "We'd like to ask you something." Jessica pulled out a folder, opened it. Inside was paperwork for a house. A small starter home 30 minutes outside the city. 3 bedrooms, fenced yard, modest price. "We're buying it," she said, "with our own money. Well, mostly the bank's money. But we qualified for the mortgage ourselves. That's great. We want you to come see it before we close. Make sure it's sound. You know construction. You'd catch things we'd miss." "I'd be happy to. And Dad," she looked nervous, "when we have kids someday, we want them to know their grandfather. The real one, not some polished version. We want them to know the man who worked 3 jobs and made the best mac and cheese in the world." My throat tightened. "I'd like that," I managed. April brought their housewarming. I showed up early, helped them move furniture, stayed late, installing shelves in their garage. Marcus worked next to me, handing me tools, asking questions about technique, learning. Jessica made dinner. Spaghetti. Simple, delicious. We ate in their new kitchen, sunlight coming through windows they'd cleaned themselves. "This feels right," Jessica said. "This feels like home." "That's because you built it," I told her. "Not with money, with effort. You taught me that." "No, I showed you. You learned it." May, I invited them to my place, cooked for them. Actual recipes, not just mac and cheese. We sat on my porch, drinking beer, watching the sunset. "Dad?" Jessica said quietly. "I never asked. Are you okay? With everything? With me?" "I'm better than okay." "Really?" "Really. You gave me something I didn't know I needed." "What's that?" "My life back. For 22 years I was Dad. Just Dad. Every decision, every sacrifice, every thought was about you. I loved it, but I also lost myself in it. When you pushed me away, it hurt, but it also freed me. To do what? To remember who I am outside of being your father. And who's that? I'm still figuring it out, she smiled. Let me know when you do. June, I met someone. Linda. She worked at the library, recommended books, had kind eyes. We went for coffee, then dinner, then a weekend trip, upstate. I told Jessica about her. She was excited, wanted to meet her. I said maybe. Eventually, Dad, you deserve to be happy. I am happy. I mean, romantically. I know what you mean. July, I took Linda to the property upstate. The 5 acres with the cabin. We walked the land. She loved it. You could retire here, she said. I'm thinking about it. Thinking about it alone or with company? I looked at her. What kind of company? The kind that makes coffee in the morning and reads next to you in the evening. That sounds nice. It does, doesn't it? August. Jessica and Marcus announced she was pregnant. 3 months along, due in February. They invited me and Linda over, showed us the ultrasound. A little blob that would become my grandchild. We want to name him David if it's a boy, Marcus said. I couldn't speak. You gave Jessica her life, he continued. We want to honor that. You don't have to. We want to. We've talked about it. A lot. You're the strongest person we know. Jessica nodded. You taught me what it means to love someone selflessly. I want our son to carry that name, to live up to it. September brought preparation, turning their spare bedroom into a nursery. Jessica asked for my help painting. I showed up with brushes and drop cloths. Marcus worked beside me. We painted in comfortable silence. Thank you, he said eventually. For what? For that letter. The one you sent my father. I thought you said it was aggressive. It was. It was also necessary. It showed me what real sacrifice looks like. What real love costs. He dipped his brush. My father wrote Jessica a check to apologize. $50,000. She tore it up. Why? Because we didn't earn it. Because we're building something on our own. Because you taught us that handouts aren't help. October 14th. 1 year since Jessica's wedding. She called that morning. Hey, Dad. Hey, do you know what today is? Your anniversary. Yeah. And something else. It's the day I learned the difference between having a father and being a daughter. Jessica, I'm serious. A year ago, I had a father who gave me everything. But I wasn't being a daughter. I was being a consumer. Taking without giving. Expecting without appreciating. You were young. I was selfish. But I'm grateful for it now. Because you showed me who I could be. Who I should be. You're doing great. We're having a small anniversary dinner tonight. Just us and Linda and you. If you'll come, I'll be there. The dinner was at their house. Simple food, good wine, laughter, stories. Marcus told the story of how they'd qualified for their mortgage. The loan officer had asked about family support. They'd said none. She'd been impressed. Linda told the story of how we'd met. How I'd asked for a book recommendation and she'd given me 3. How I'd read all of them and come back for more. Jessica told the story of the wedding. The moment she'd told me to leave. The weeks after, when everything fell apart. The day she'd realized what she'd lost. I didn't know how to value you, she said. Because I'd never had to live without you. You were always just there. Steady, reliable, giving. I thought that was normal. I thought all fathers were like that. Some are, I said, but most aren't. Most people don't sacrifice everything. Most people set boundaries, protect themselves. You didn't. You gave until there was nothing left. And I took it for granted. You were my daughter. That's what parents do. No, Dad, that's what you did. And I'm spending the rest of my life trying to be worthy of it. November, Thanksgiving again. this time at my place. Jessica and Marcus, Linda, Robert, and his new girlfriend, Emma from the diner, Michael from work, people who'd been there, who'd seen the hard parts, who'd stayed. We ate turkey that wasn't dry, mashed potatoes that weren't lumpy, pie from scratch Jessica made, a toast to second chances, to hard lessons, to the people who love us enough to let us fail and strong enough to welcome us back. Everyone raised their glasses. I looked around the table, at faces I loved, at the family I'd built, not through blood, not through obligation, through choice, through effort, through forgiveness. This was better. December, Jessica had a scare, bleeding, false labor. They rushed to the hospital, called me at 2 a.m. I met them in the emergency room, stayed through the night. Everything was fine. Baby was fine, but Jessica was shaken. I was so scared, Dad. I know. All I could think was that I needed you. Not your money, not your help with bills, just you. I needed my dad. I'm here. Promise me you'll always be here. I can't promise always, but I promise I'll try. She held my hand, squeezed tight, like she used to when she was little and we'd cross the street. January, the nursery was finished. Blue walls, white crib, bookshelf, already full of children's books, including the ones I'd read to her. Will you read to him? Jessica asked. When he's born? Every night if you want. I want him to hear your voice, to know you the way I should have known you. You know me now. That's what matters. February 6th, David Marcus Caldwell Morrison was born. 8 pounds, 3 ounces. Healthy. Perfect. I held him in the hospital. This tiny person who carried my name, who represented everything I'd hoped for. Second chances. New beginnings. Love that learned from mistakes. Jessica watched me from the bed, exhausted. Happy. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For not giving up on me. For loving me, even when I didn't deserve it. For teaching me what it means to be a parent. I looked down at my grandson, his small fingers wrapped around mine. This, I said, this is what it means. Marcus took a photo, me holding David. 3 generations, past, present, future. That photo sits on my mantle now, next to the one of Jessica on her first day of kindergarten. The bookends of my life. People ask if I forgave her, if we're okay now. I tell them forgiveness isn't a moment, it's a process. A series of small choices to move forward, to remember the good, to build something new. Jessica and I are building something new. It's not perfect. There are still moments when old hurts resurface, times when she slips into old patterns, times when I have to remind her, I'm not a bank, I'm a person. But mostly, we're good. She calls me 3 times a week. Not because she needs something, because she wants to talk. She asks about Linda, about my job, about whether I've decided to retire to the cabin. I haven't decided yet. Maybe someday. Maybe not. For now, I'm exactly where I need to be. I spend Sundays at their house, hold David while Jessica cooks, watch Marcus build things in the garage. Things he doesn't quite know how to build yet, but he's learning. I teach him, patiently, the way I wish someone had taught me. Linda comes with me sometimes. She's good with babies, natural. Jessica likes her. They talk about books and recipes and life. We're building something. All of us. Together. It's messy and imperfect and sometimes awkward, but it's real. And that's better than anything I had before. Last week, I was at their house fixing a leaky faucet. David was asleep in his crib. Jessica was making dinner. Marcus was helping. She looked at me across the kitchen. Dad? Yeah? I'm really glad you came to my wedding. even though I told you not to. Me too. Why? Because it led to this. All of this. She smiled. Would you do it again, knowing what you know now? I thought about that. The pain, the humiliation, the anger, the growth. Yes, I said. I'd do it exactly the same. Really? Really. Because you needed to fall, and I needed to let you. And now we're both standing. She wiped her eyes. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. That night, driving home with Linda beside me, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not the peace of having everything figured out, but the peace of knowing I'd done enough, given enough, sacrificed enough. And now I could just be. Not a wallet, not a solution, not a safety net, just a father, just a grandfather. Just a man who'd learned that love isn't about giving everything, it's about giving what's needed, and knowing when to stop. Jessica learned that too, and that makes all the difference. The cabin upstate still has my name on the deed. I haven't signed it over to anyone else. Maybe I'll keep it. Maybe Linda and I will retire there together. Maybe I'll give it to David someday, when he's old enough to appreciate what it represents. A place to escape, a place to heal, a place earned through hard work and sacrifice. For now, it sits empty, waiting, like I waited, for Jessica to realize what she had, for forgiveness to feel natural instead of forced, for a new generation to begin. The waiting was worth it. Everything was worth it, even the parts that hurt. Especially the parts that hurt, because pain taught us what comfort couldn't, and loss taught us what abundance never would. That love isn't measured in dollars or deeds or sacrifices made. It's measured in presence, in respect, in the choice to keep showing up even when it's hard. I showed up to Jessica's wedding even though I wasn't invited, and eventually, she showed up to my life even though she'd walked away. We're both still showing up, day after day, building something better than what we had before. Not perfect, but real. And real is enough. Real is everything. If you like this story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to more stories, click on the window on the right. Thank you for watching.